flat out of town. Knox Central comes rolling into town. There's not a whole lot to know about these folks that come in from Eastern Kentucky, but you do know that they know football out there. All you got to do is mention one name, Dudley Hilton, Bell County, up Eastern Kentucky. But I always hear a lot of good things about Knox Central. What did your planning for that game tell you?
Well, we kind of knew they were a lot like us. They were a powerful team, pretty good defensively. They were going to be big up front and strong up front, and they had a great ground attack ball. But that wasn't going to be their forte throughout, and that's what I was telling the kids all week. So we knew it was going to be a physical battle for 4 quarters, and that's what it ended up being.
1 point. I tell you, it was one of those nail biters again. Talk about how it got in that fourth quarter of play for Marion County.
Well, we jumped out 19-7 at one point, and we're feeling pretty good. And then they found something offensively that we were doing wrong defensively in the second half that we weren't doing in the first, and so it became hard to get them off the field in the second half. So we had them in a lot of third, even a couple of fourths, and they converted each time, and that was backbreaking. But it came down to the wire there, and we drove the ball down the field at the end of the game and had a chance to win it, and just we fumbled it at the wrong time.
And then a 1-point game, you could probably go back and find 10 or 15 different plays that, if this went that different way, we may have won the game. A couple of missed extra point attempts or opportunities. Can you kind of talk about that and how you can improve on those in the future?
Yeah, we struggled to find this point, but we've got one now that's been working out pretty good, and it wasn't his problem on the first missed extra point. We just missed it. It was a good snap. And then on the second time we scored, we were going to go for 2 to try to get back up to 14 and didn't get that. So we ended up converting the third touchdown and hitting the extra point there and got us to 19. But, yeah, I mean, like you said, it's I mentioned the fumble on the very last drive that ultimately put the nail in the coffin. But we did so many things wrong earlier in the game that it should have never gotten to that point. And so, I definitely don't put the game on that fumble at all. The 185 other things that we did wrong led to that, right?
What was the locker room like after the game? Was it like demoralizing, or did it kind of like just felt like we just let one get away and we're ready for the next week to get it off our chest?
I think it's a little bit of both, right? I think it's demoralizing for everybody knowing that that's a game you should have won. You think you're the better team, right, and should have won. And so it's a little sad in that regard, but I think they also know how close we were and how close we are, right? And they know if we just eliminate some of this stuff, then that would have been totally different. And if we eliminated some of that same stuff, week 1 would have been totally different. I know we won, but we would have won differently in week 1. And so we did just as many things wrong then as we did the second week. We just happened to come out with a victory, right? So as a coach, I got to tell you, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world that could have happened, because if we did that many things wrong and still won that game, then people don't think anything's wrong, right? And you don't highlight all the things that you did wrong because you still came out with a victory, right? So it's hard for kids under like, Coach, we won. But that's not the point. You're not going to win later on down the road if you keep making these mistakes, right? So in a sense and in a way, I think that was probably good for us.
It's a team sport, but you've had some players really play well in the first 2 games. Talk about a couple of personalities that have really played well for you in these first 2 games.
Well, the 2 I brought with me today have played really well, and there's some others too, but, D has run